Good morning, A to Z Sports Nashville. Hope everybody is having a great start to your Thursday. Apologies on our delay this morning. That's on me. Had a series of annoyances at the Freeze household this morning that have since been taken care of, but made me a little bit slower to hit the desk this morning. Appreciate everybody being patient for what will be a very good show. It is another episode of JT and Easton back in the saddle like old times, and we are talking about a bounce back performance from Cam Ward and the Titans yesterday at practice, as they are, as we speak, I believe, gearing up to or already on the practice field in Tampa. I forget what exactly the time is for them to start. It's in the 9 o'clock hour Eastern time, so they should be getting ready to roll down there. I'm not super jealous of those that are in attendance, JT, considering the real field this morning is going to get up into the triple digits, as I heard from the whining masses at Titans practice yesterday, those that were headed down there. Would I like to be there? Yes. Am I missing it because of that? Not really. So we've got Buck down there. He's going to be down there sweating on our behalf. And anything that may happen that is of note that we need to know about, we will have eyes on it, and it will be reported on at AZSports.com. So as we are waiting for the live reports from the joint practice in Tampa Bay to trickle in on Twitter, JT and I are going to talk about what was a pretty big bounce back day for Cam Ward and company yesterday. I was at the Titans facility for what was the last Titans practice in a little bit here in Nashville. They embarked on their 10-day travel plans to Tampa Bay and then to Atlanta next week. And so they will be out of town doing practices, not abroad, I almost said abroad, away, interstate practices they will be participating in. And we will be covering all of those. But for now, we want to talk about what we saw yesterday, JT, and then preview not just today's joint practice against Tampa, but the preseason game against Tampa on Saturday night. What are we looking for? What position groups are most important to see some progress from here in the coming days? We're going to break all of that down and more. But first, JT, tell the people what they got to do. And also, good morning. Hello.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, like you said, death, taxes, and Easton Freeze being late to a show that we both are supposed to be on.
How dare you?
The nature is healing.
How
Mother Nature is
dare
coming
you?
back. But good morning. It's good to
Nature
see
is
all
healing.
of you in the chat this morning. If you can do us a couple quick things. First of all, make sure you are liking the show. It helps us a lot more than you guys maybe think it does. All you have to do is simply scroll down, hit that like button. And while you're down there, make sure you are subscribed. Make sure that subscribe button has a little D at the end, because that also goes a long way. Make sure that you are up to date for everything going on here at A to Z Sports, especially with a big week ahead of us with Titans joint practice. I think, like you said, it's weird, right? They're practicing at 9, but it's 8 for us, but it's weird. So I couldn't keep track. So that's why we sent Buck down there to do all of the sweaty work for us, because like you said, it is unbearably hot in Tampa Bay right now. And as much as I'd like to be down there for one single practice today, I'm glad I'm not. And I'm glad I'm in my air-conditioned room here in Nashville. So good morning, everybody. It's exciting to be here. Let's kick it off.
Yep, let's do it. Let's get the show started. Welcome into the A to Z Sports Morning Show live on a Thursday morning. We are live every weekday morning around 8 Central Time, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. The links are tweeted out segment by segment at our Twitter feed at ATOZ Sports. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok for more Titans coverage. Also, leave a 5-star Google review for A to Z Sports. We appreciate those. We also got to thank our sponsors for making the show happen and helping out you guys at home. Wilson County Hyundai. Make Wilson County Hyundai a part of your new car buying process in Lebanon or WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And the Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedics and sports medicine, boneandjointtn.org. All right, JT, let's talk about yesterday's practice before we look ahead to what we are hoping to hear from Tampa. Joint practice is going on right now. And then, of course, we're going to see from them on Saturday night. The Titans finished the weekend, the long weekend of 5 padded practices in 6 days, on a low note on Sunday. We talked about that until the cows came home. It was not a pretty sight for Cam Ward and company, and so we were interested yesterday to see if they would have a little bit of a get-right practice before heading down to Tampa, and that it was. It was a good day for Cam Ward. He looked pretty solid. I think his best series of plays as a Titan in pads came yesterday in a 2-minute drill period. And I want to talk just kind of generally about maybe your perspective on these first couple of weeks of Titans practice before the joints. Yesterday, I felt like we saw more neutral situations for Cam Ward in the offense. And I think there's a conversation to be had just about how it's hard to judge what we saw so far and not mention the fact that it's been intentionally difficult sledding. Does that make sense? Like the way that they have set up the practices has made it hard to really judge Cam Ward and company because of the defense advantages that they've been giving them.
Absolutely. And that's why everything that we do during training camp up until this point, it should be taken with a grain of salt, right? That's why these joint practices are so different, because you finally are getting someone outside of the organization going at your team, right? You're getting a defense that doesn't really care about Cam Ward and his future and things like that. Like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are focused on themselves and where they currently are as a franchise. They could not care less about any of these Titans players except going up against them in competition and trying to get the best of them. And that's something that, you know, we'll see we can take more of than any of these other practices. And I think what you bring up is an important point, because we saw a comment earlier today before the show even started from Brandon. He said, did Ward bounce back? More like the defense was leashed. We didn't get one report of any defender in the backfield after they've dominated every practice. Come on now, let's discuss it. Easton, first of all, you were there at practice, so I cannot kind of talk on this, but was it really like seemingly more just like the defense was calmed? But I think maybe leashed is the wrong term. More so, they're playing more of a base defense, I feel like, yesterday, right? When you talk about the defense wasn't as, you know, as throwing everything at Cam, they're not going, like, defenses in 17 regular season games are not going to do what the Titans have done for 4 practices straight, because that's how you lose a bunch of games. Like what you saw yesterday is probably a more realistic defense that you will go up against every single day in actual games. So, you know, I think leashed is the wrong term. It's more like a normal, and it's good to see that Cam Ward shine against maybe a more normal base defense.
Yeah, and that's what I came into this week wanting to see, right? Because these first 2 weeks have been so defense advantaged on purpose. And so yesterday, it's you're right. Like there are first and second downs in football games that you can't just do third and long blitz periods for every down. You will get beat badly. I'm just pulling up my notes here just to give folks a better idea of what happened yesterday. So they started with one-on-ones and then red zone 7-on-7s. Relatively slow start for Cam. Not bad by any means, but nothing to write home about during those periods. Started to heat up in the red zone period. Then that 2-minute drill came, which I thought was the best that we've seen of him so far. They started at their own 25-ish yard line. Couldn't tell exactly where they started until they started moving. They marched the offense down the field on what felt like a double-digit play drive. If it wasn't 10 plays, it was close, 9 or 10. And there was a lot of good, right? Ward didn't hold the ball too long, extended and created when the situation called for it, not just for the sake of rolling out and bailing on the pocket. He stepped up and navigated the pocket well when it was there for him to have, targeted the areas of the field needed to preserve timeouts without getting stuck behind the sticks. So getting to the sideline or getting the first down so that they were capable of calling a timeout. Converted a 3rd and 10 just past midfield. It was a situation, we asked Nick Holtz afterwards whether or not this was here's another thing in context, like you don't quite know what's going on. Was this a situation where they felt like they had to get 7 or had to get 3, right? Because we weren't sure if they were playing for a field goal or for a touchdown, and they said it was got to get 7 drill. So they keep marching down into the low red zone after converting that 3rd and 10 just past midfield, capping off the drive with a 9-yard touchdown pass to Tyler Lockett with 6-ish seconds left on the game clock. So it wasn't perfect. It was not a perfect drive. Calvin Ridley talked to us after practice about how it was good, but it could have been a whole lot better. But it worked. Cam looked good. He looked confident. He looked like he was in control. And most importantly, unlike his worst moments on Sunday, he wasn't pressing, right? That's what I was most interested in seeing is how he'd bounce back from that moment where he was playing kind of young, where he, needed to be more patient, more accurate. That was a glimpse, I think, of what good Cam Ward is going to look like this year. And again, I think this is all a hint at why things have been such tough sledding in practice for them so far. And so that was kind of the first of three touch points this week. Practice yesterday, of course, practice today, and the game on Saturday, where I was wanting to see what Cam would look like in these more neutral situations. Obviously, the NFL is very hard. You need to be able to at least handle, if not excel, in the disadvantaged situations, like guys that come up in the clutch, guys that come up on big third downs. Those are the money downs. That's when NFL quarterbacks go from mid to good to great. And so eventually that's going to have to be a thing, but it's also August 7th and he's a rookie. So let's see if he can at bare minimum handle the neutral stuff. And at least one day into this week, I think that he did that very, very well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see a lot of people in the comments. Yes, practice is ongoing right now. If I had to guess, I imagine they're still in the stretching period. I'm imagining we won't get any live updates of what they're doing until like the end of this show, because that's when the things are actually going to happen. So keeping an eye out on that. But yeah, exactly. Right. I used this analogy yesterday when we were talking about Brian Callahan's job security and future and things like that. And I liken their practices so far, and this is a metaphor that you will probably like, to playing a golf outing or in a round of golf, except you're only shooting out of sand traps. The entire course is just sand traps, right?
Yeah,
like
brutal.
In a real game, there's going to be some fairways. There's going to be some chip shots onto the green, right? There's going to be some par threes. Like that's going to happen. And like that's also a part of this that we haven't seen, is that the glowing reviews of a Titans run game that has seemingly very much improved has yet to be seen, because you can't really do a solid run game or a run game script in these practices, right? And without going just 100%. And I think that's another part of this entire puzzle that is yet to be seen. And I think those things, as we get into these joint practices, you'll see more of, because you finally get to put more like actual football on the field and get into the rhythm of trying to pick up those different types of situations. And I think that's going to be so much more important for Cam as we go. Now that you have, I think the tests are over. Like the bring it or bluff it, third down drills, so much pressure in your face. I think that stuff is kind of over, because you're going to get that more or less with the Buccaneers, with the Vikings, with the with the Falcons.
Yeah.
Yes, all three of those. Like those are the type of defenses that are going to still bring those things. So now building in more operational things for Cam, I think, is going to continue. And I think you're going to start to see Cam stack some of those days, because he has more elements of this offense and more rhythm with the offense.
Yep, I agree. I think we have exhausted the talking about yesterday's practice. So let's get to a preview of Tampa Bay, which is going to be the bulk of our conversation today, and how we get you guys in the audience involved. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at Barton Drury Insurance Group, our wonderful and amazing sponsor here on the program. Customized solutions for all of your insurance needs at bartondrury.com. They are truly a one-stop shop for both your personal and business insurance. Austin and Zach here at A to Z felt about their buying experience that there were a number of options and plans that fit their needs. The responsiveness was very acceptable. How your experience with our service team, how their experience with the service team has been throughout the process, not just buying in the first place, but ever since they have been a part of the Barton Drury family, has been really fantastic. The level of expertise is very high over there. They sell employee benefits, 401k planning, life insurance, workers' comp, liability, auto, property, umbrella, and surety bonds. And they are local, so they strive to provide excellent service, but they also want to take the time to make sure that someone understands their insurance policies, which I appreciate, because insurance is complicated and kind of boring. So I appreciate these guys for handling it, because boring or not, deeply important, and BartonDrury.com has you covered.
So much more to say today as we get into a discussion about the Titans finally playing someone else than themselves. And it's going to be super exciting the rest of the week. But first, before we get into that conversation, need you guys to scroll down, hit that like button, make sure you are liking the show, make sure you are subscribed to the show. And then if you could do us another favor, make sure you head on over to Google and leave us a 5-star review. Simply search A to Z Sports. That's ATOZ Sports on Google. Leave us a 5-star review. If you have positive things to say, if you have constructive criticism to say, we want to make this show the best we possibly can in the 2025 season because it's going to be a big one. Just make sure you're leaving us a 5-star review.
Garrett in the comments says, Easton, I'll pay you $100 for Brownlee's helmet, which was
what was this
yesterday. How ridiculous of you, Garrett. I would never sell it for just $100. It's worth way more than that. So come back with a better offer. I don't know. Somebody stole his helmet yesterday, apparently. I need to follow up on this with the team. I hope somebody down there today asks Jarvis. I'm sure I think he has gotten another helmet by now, but he's like, that was my only one. I'm out of luck. I can't practice today, guys. But yeah, that's if some fan in attendance yesterday walked off with his helmet, which is what I've been led to believe, not only is that hilarious, it's also supremely stupid because they're going to find you. There are cameras everywhere out there. You're cooked. Not only are they going to get the helmet back, they're probably going to press charges, and you're probably going to be banned from Titans games forever. So I hope it was worth it. So we will find you, whoever you are. I want to talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because that is who the Titans are practicing right now. And let's go ahead and play this video to kind of set the table, JT. Yesterday, Brian Callahan was asked about getting to face a Tampa Bay offense, which obviously was fantastic last year, one of the best offenses in the league. How is that going to test this Titans defense in joint practice and in the preseason? Here's what he had to say.
Defenses, we've seen them have the upper hand a lot out here in these training camp practices. How eager are you to see them tested by a pretty potent Buccaneers offense with Mayfield and those receivers?
I think it's great. We get a chance to go against two, I think, really talented offensive teams. When you look at their roster and their talent, and Tampa Bay was a playoff team last year. They won 10 games. They've done a really good job. So to go against Baker and that skill group they have there, which is incredibly talented, it's a good offensive line. It's going to be a great test for us, and that's why I look forward to these joint practices. Is you get to measure against somebody else, and you get to see how you respond against different competition in a different color jersey. Really excited about that, but certainly a stiff test for the defense because that's a good operation there on offense.
Don't know what that was, but okay.
It's just the longest video of all time, apparently. So as good old Terry says there in the lead up to that question, this is the time of year the defenses tend to dominate offenses because every defense in the league is ahead of every offense in the league. That's just the nature of football. And that's why we see in September, offense tend to be a good deal sloppier than it is at the end of the year. JT, let's go ahead and pose our question to the folks in the comments. Our question this morning, with joint practice going on right now and with the preseason game coming up Saturday night, what is the Titans position group that you are most interested in getting answers from? Not just the group you're most excited to see, but the group that you have questions about that you think these two practice situations this week, because we'll call a preseason game what it is, a practice situation. What position group's going to give you the most answers from these two practice situations? Give us your answers in the comments while we're letting those percolate. JT, would you like to go first with your answer? Or would you like me to?
You can go first.
All right. I'll take the low hanging fruit then. I'll take the offensive line for the Titans. They are a group that I have a scary level of confidence in, or not even confidence, a scary level of expectations for this year, because I think that they on paper deserves the wrong word. I think that they should be held to a higher standard than Titans offensive lines have been held to recently because of the caliber of player personnel in that group. Like, there should not be a weakness. They should have two starting caliber tackles. They should have one who is an ascending player, maybe one of the better tackles in the league heading into year two. They have one of the better guard tandems in the entire league. They have potentially one of the ascending young guards top in the league based on how he finished last year, and Peter Skoronski, one of the best guards in the league. I think that that's his ceiling. I think that he's the best player on this offensive line. And then the center position is still obviously a question with Lloyd Cushenberry. I don't really have any expectations for him until we see him do anything on a football field. But in the meantime, Corey Levin, I think, is a replacement level is a little strong, but like serviceable replacement option at center, especially if those other 4 guys on the line are doing their job to the level that I think the bare minimum expectation for them should be. And so we've seen them so far look relatively good in practice. Like, it's not like we have no answers on this group, and they are still putting it all together. And newer guys like Dan Moore and Kevin Zeitler, those guys are actively learning and changing things to fit the Bill Callahan program. And so it's a work in progress in a way, even though they're veterans. But no offense to the Titans defensive line, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive line and Todd Bowles defense is a more believable test for me to see this offensive line go up against. So I want to hear very good things about how they fared today. Now, are we going to hear about Vita Vea just eating Corey Levin's lunch a couple times? Probably. But Vita Vea is a future Hall of Famer, and that's what he does to all of the linemen. That's his whole thing, is he eats your lunch. So, and again, Corey Levin is not really a starter, so that's fine, whatever. But I don't want to hear about Dan Moore getting blown by all day, being made a fool of. I don't want to hear about J.C. Latham's first bad day of practice this year. I certainly don't want to hear about Peter Skoronski, having a rough day at practice. These are guys that should be able to step up against a Buccaneers defensive line that I don't want to make too much of it. I think this Buccaneers defensive line gets inflated a little bit in terms of their raw talent, just because Todd Bowles is the one pulling the levers. The Buccaneers, the Todd Bowles version of the Buccaneers defensive line has been a piecemeal operation for his entire tenure. Like, outside of that one time he had an 18.5 sack rusher, he's had a bunch of guys that are like 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 sack guys, and he's put it all together and made it work. He's not been relying on alpha rush. And the edge position in particular is one that Tampa Bay has just really struggled to nail in terms of alphas. So it's a good group that has a great play caller, and I think that is a very solid, above average example of what you need to be. This offensive line needs to be able to win against this year to give Cam Ward time. So how they look today and on Saturday is a massive deal to me.
Yeah, I say that the defensive line is certainly better than what the Titans have, right? You look from top to bottom, though. You look at Vita Vea, Kalijah Kancey, Yaya Diaby. They bring in Hassan Reddick, who will be out there.
Favorite of ours, by the way, Yaya Diaby. Shout out.
Chris Braswell. It's not like they are now rotating a bunch of guys in. They bring in Hassan Reddick, who I think does still have some juice left in the tank. However,
like an all-pro flyer. Weird situation,
but like, this is still going to be a test, right? Because certainly I think they are a lot better than what the Titans have on the defensive front, specifically from the edges. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest tests. I do agree, though. J.C. Latham, Peter Skoronski, those two guys I don't want to hear really anything about. And I really don't want to hear anything from Dan Moore either. Like, Dan Moore should show up and show out today. Like, I think that needs to happen as well. The more I'm concerned about, the interior on that right side, the Corey Levin, the Kevin Zeitler, having to go up against both Kalijah Kancey and Vita Vea, I think is going to be a tough.
It'll be tough
today, for sure.
Yep. And that's fine. I mean, I'm looking at their stats from last year. This is a team that had 6 different guys with 4 or more sacks. You had Anthony Nelson, an edge rusher with 4, Yaya Diaby with 4.5, Logan Hall with 5.5, Levante David with 5.5, Vita Vea with 7, and Kalijah Kancey with 7.5. So your interior guys are the strength of this team from a rush standpoint, but they got after the quarterback. Then they had 3 additional guys with 2 sacks. So how many sacks on the year? 46 sacks for this team. Not a barn-burning number, but an above-average number for a team. So I think a very good unit to test your mettle against. JT, let's save your answer for after we get a brief look at actually, let's get your answer, and then we'll read an ad, and then we'll talk about all the answers from the chat, because I want to touch on all of the things that you guys have said so far. So JT, what group are you looking to see the most from this week?
Yeah, I think it's still the defensive backs. This is their first real test. You talk about another group that the Titans have been going up against in their own practices that'll look a lot better than what they've gone up against. And that's no knock to what the rookies have shown. That's no knock to Calvin Ridley, but specifically your current 2 starting corners, Jarvis Brownlee Jr., Darrell Baker, Roger McCreary. Those guys are now going up against a future Hall of Famer in Mike Evans. Another guy, Chris Godwin, who I believe is returning this week, that will maybe be out there, even if he isn't. Like the Buccaneers have,
Godwin will not, but Evans and Egbuka have both been getting just the most possible rave reviews.
Yes,
They both have been fantastic, apparently.
Even past that, Jalen McMillan's out there, Trey Palmer. Like these are guys that they're going to go up against. The return of the tiniest prospect ever to ever exist, Tez Johnson, will be out there as well. Like this is going to be a big test, specifically Mike Evans, Emeka Egbuka, Jalen McMillan. That's going to be a real test. Even you go to the interior with Cody Barton and those guys, the coverage system as a whole with Cade Otton and a lot of the guys they have coming out of the backfield. Like this is going to be a big test. And to be honest, like if it comes out today that they do not struggle against those guys and they look really, really good in their matchups against them, I think that's stock that I will absolutely buy into and believe for sure.
Yeah, I agree. So I'll send you to the comments to kind of get an idea of what the folks want to talk about, and we will just talk about whatever the comments have to say for the rest of today's show. But first, let me tell you guys about our friends over at the Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedics and sports medicine, boneandjointtn.org. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know who to trust. The Bone and Joint Institute is located locally here in Middle Tennessee, in Franklin, just off I-65, with over a dozen specialists who can help you through any type of injury. They have a state-of-the-art rehab facility on campus to help your recovery. Bone and Joint can do everything under that one roof in Franklin for your convenience. They have clinic, testing, imaging, surgery, and rehab. To schedule an appointment, go to boneandjointtn.org.
Excited to get into your comments here, but first we need you guys to like the show this morning. Helps us a lot more than you guys may think it does. It goes a long way to share the show and put it on as many Titans fans feeds as possible. Make sure you're also subscribed to the A to Z Sports YouTube channel as well while you're down there, and we can get into some of your guys' answers to what position group you guys are most interested to see this upcoming week of joint practices. We can start with Juan Pablo, who says the wide receivers in interior linebackers. I think that we'll talk a little bit about the interior linebackers. James Williams, like first real test again against a really good tight end and Cade Otton and those running backs. Roy and Alex both say the offensive line. Eric and Rooney also agree that the offensive line is the story to watch. Jeff saying, what about Emeka Egbuka? Yeah, that's going to be a test specifically, I feel like, for Roger McCreary this week. Mike also saying the O-line. Bill, edge rushers. Let's see who else. Garrett says line, receiver, edge in that order. IR Hoshi saying wide receivers. Maven saying edge play. Roy saying O-line. Doubling down on the offensive line. Drayden just out of left field saying kicker Joey Sly. So
sure. Hey.
Sure. Hey. Also a guy to watch.
The stadium pulse is high on Joey Sly this week.
I think Luke also brings up an interesting one, not a position group, but as a whole, the defensive line wants to see if the Titans can pressure the quarterback. Nick saying O-line and edge. IR Hoshi saying if you're doing a pass-heavy offense, wide receivers are really important as well as the offensive line.
Sure.
Eric saying our secondary needs to step up. A lot of wide receiver, offensive line, and getting after the quarterback talk, I think are the three things that are really important to people here this morning in the chat.
Well, let's talk about the receiver a little bit, the receiver position, that is, because outside of Calvin Ridley, we understand that the Titans group of receivers are very, very green, and we are hoping to see a good deal from, I say they're very green. Obviously, Tyler Lockett and Van Jefferson have been around the block, but the guys that we're most interested in seeing, and at least me, hoping to see be heavy rotational guys, if not starters, in short order here this season. Alec Iamaner and Chimere Dike. Those two guys, and I'm going to lump Gunnar Helm in here as far as guys that are pass catchers who I want to see a lot from this week. Those guys are going up against a group of guys in Tampa, the secondary down there. I'm trying to pull up because I wrote an article yesterday, a joint article with our guy Evan here at A to Z, who covers the Bucks, knows them very well.
It's not a secondary that is a world beater by any stretch of the imagination.
No. So if you want to give your thoughts as I kind of pull up what I'm looking for here.
I have it right. I mean, Zion McCollum, Jamel Dean, Jacob Parrish, rookie, who I really liked coming out this season. Christian Eisen, Benjamin Morrison as well. Josh Hayes, the Titans legend, Kindle Vildor. As well.
That's right.
Hey, Shiloh Sanders. Let's see what the kids got.
some inside baseball. Shiloh Sanders has been a disappointingly massive search term in terms of hot topics. So, like, at least from an A to Z standpoint,
really,
anything that's been mentioning Shiloh Sanders has done unfortunately well.
Hey, Xavier Restrepo versus Shiloh Sanders today about to go crazy. That's for sure.
That video, if it exists, will do numbers. I want to read what Evan wrote because I did find it here from our article yesterday, which I recommend you guys go read. It's a great primer for both a Titans and a Bucks perspective on this week of practices and the game. He says, so this is the Bucks ascending secondary takes on a Titans receiver room that has a core, but is still trying to figure things out. Evan says, as mentioned above, the Bucks defense has been strong as a whole throughout camp. When placing the topic on a more micro level, though, the secondary is one of the biggest talking points on both sides of the ball. Just about everybody is making plays and sticking in coverage, from starters like Zion McCollum to undrafted rookies like JJ Roberts. So don't sleep on JJ Roberts. Write that down. The Bucks are also cross-training a lot of guys at multiple positions. And as we know, the entire secondary has been meeting in the same room all offseason. Interesting. Therefore, it makes sense why the group has been flying around and turning heads. A quote from Baker Mayfield: I just think all the defensive backs as a whole, they are doing a really, really good job at disguising coverages, he told reporters on the second day of training camp. And the young guys, you can tell they are bringing them up to speed pretty quick on how to hide stuff and to show it late. So they're doing a good job of breaking on passes, making plays, and so on. I mean, we have a lot of depth back there. Those guys just mess with your heads. The Titans receiving room has a vision, but it's still being put together. This will be a good chance for the Bucs secondary to keep the ball rolling by keeping Calvin Ridley and company under wraps. And that's what's going to be key to me. Is we know Calvin is going to get his. We know that he's going to look good. He's like, Calvin's fine. Nobody's worried about Calvin. It's the rest of these guys. And against a group that, it's kind of like their front, where the individual pieces in terms of talent, in terms of what they are on paper, is not as great as the sum of their parts. And the confidence I have in the person pulling the levers on the defensive decision-making in Todd Bowles. And so I do think that they are going to be a stout group, even if they are some smaller names, some younger names. For somebody like Alec in particular, I want to see him because we know his footwork is continuing to refine itself, his route running ability, the veteran savvy that he has to build up that you can only accumulate with time. That's all a work in progress. But let's just see you in pads against some of these other defenders you've not faced before. Be bigger, faster, stronger. Because that's what you are. He knows this. You're bigger, faster, stronger. That's a big part of the appeal of you as a player. So go do it. Like, you don't have to be a fantastic technician to be able to win at times. Obviously, you want to be a technician to be more efficient and to be truly dominant as a receiver. But you can make do with the natural God-given skill set that Alec has. And so he's somebody, again, biased, everybody knows I'm an Alec guy, that I really want to see excel this week. Yeah,
I mean, when you're going, he's looked really good when the pads have come on. Footwork be damned, so to say. Like, there have been things where in one-on-ones and in team drills, like, he's been able to create that separation as well. And I think that's been important. He needs to continue this against, he's going to get as many opportunities as possible, because there's no lockdown corner here at like you said, the entire secondary is kind of a whole rather than the parts of the whole. And you're not going to have a guy who's going to just be shut down, kind of like last year. Like, you're not going to have a Devon Witherspoon on the outside. You're not going to have a lot of those Seattle Seahawks corners when they had joint practices last year, who were really, really good against Calvin and all those guys. It's definitely different here. However, I will say, I think it also brings into question, along with the wide receivers, brings in the offense as a whole. Like, if they do red zone, I want to see Brian Callahan's play calling find some success today. Like, if I think that's a bunch of like the parts of what makes this team very successful today, I think, in my opinion, is going to be the offense working in rhythm, the offense working all together to be able to actually find success, much like they did yesterday in joint practice. Those are the types of things that we're going to need to see today to make me at least believe that this can be successful.
Agreed. I was just dealing with Tiffany White, who is a spammer in the comments, who said, ride the vibe of get off my Ripple. Couldn't tell you what that means, but she said a lot of other things, and she's banned. She's out of here. Ban hammer. Don't worry about her anymore. This lady won't bother you folks in the comments any longer. What other position group are you keeping an eye on this week? Because I have one in mind that we haven't really talked about, but I guess I'll just bring it up since I'm already alluding to it. The Titans defensive line is one that should lose to this Bucs offensive line. But the Bucs offensive line, if folks have not noticed or not caught this news, not at full strength. Obviously, they're missing their best piece in Tristan Wirfs, and the backup situation there is fine, but as is the case with pretty much all tackle backup situations in the league, leaves a lot to be desired. And so I do think that against a really nice interior group, a young interior core for this offensive line, Jeff Simmons and T'Vondre Sweat, that'll be a really nice kind of even battle in my mind. And I'm curious to see who comes out on top, because I think that those guys can hang with one another. It's well matched. The edge situation for the Titans, which we know is not fantastic, has a chance to kind of set a floor for themselves against a non-Tristan Wirfs tackle group. Does that seem fair to you?
Yeah, no, I think the expectation should be that it should be some back and forth for sure. And I do think that it's going to be a good test for this now kind of, I say revolving door, but in a good way. Like, this is a defense that's going to be predicated on guys getting in there for a rep or two and getting out on the ones. Like, it's going to be a mixing and matching type of situation here with the edges. And specifically, I do think it's a good opportunity for Femi Oladejo as well on the defensive line to go up against some different competition as he learns and develops at that outside edge position. Now getting to go up against people that are not Bill Callahan disciples or anything like that. With the Titans offensive line, seeing different looks, seeing different techniques, I think is going to be very important in his development as well. It's going to be a really interesting battle, and we're going to see if this new so to say strategy of kind of trying to create sacks. I've been working on it. No longer are we creating sacks by one individual player getting pressure. We're creating sacks in the aggregate, essentially playing Moneyball with the defensive line. So is this Moneyball style of getting pressure on the quarterback going to work specifically against an offensive line that is good, but I think gettable? It's going to be a very interesting day of practice for them.
Yeah. Is it a great idea to Moneyball your sacks? No,
I don't know.
But is it the only choice that they have? Sure is.
Yeah.
Sure is. No other way but through. So we'll see if they can pull it off. Quick update from Titans practice as they are getting set to roll with Brian Callahan press conference, which, a little inside baseball, quite dumb that the Brian Callahan press conference is before the practice. Like, we don't have anything that there's nothing to ask him that we didn't get a chance to ask him yesterday. We'd want to talk to him after the practice. So that's annoying, but whatever. And he said that Blake Hance and Carlos Watkins are both not practicing today. Not surprising. Both those guys have not been practicing. More surprising, T'Vondre Sweat and Kevin Winston both out. Sweat, I'm not surprised by, considering what I saw with my own eyes yesterday. He was kind of practicing gingerly, spoke with the trainers at one point during individual period. I think that he is just like, he's not feeling 100% with that abdominal strain or tear or whatever the abdominal issue is. I don't mean to speculate. I don't know what it is, but the abdominal issue that he has, they're taking easy. And so I'm not surprised that he's not practicing today. At this point, I won't be surprised if he doesn't play on Saturday just to get him back to 100%. And then Winston continuing to be out, I know it's suspicious seeming, and like as soon as I have good reason to be concerned, I will say it, I promise. But so far, all of the digging that I've done, all of the work that I've done to try to like make sure that there's nothing more to this that we don't know, continues to come back as just like he tore his ACL last year. There's some soreness. He's still like the whole hitting guys thing we're easing back into that. And we don't want to rush him. There's no need to rush him. We have a fantastic safety group. We don't need him out there just yet. And so we're playing the long game. And that's fine. I mean, if that's really all it is, then fine. That's fine. But with each passing day, it's a little bit weirder, right?
Yeah.
A little bit.
I mean, yesterday I said, I started off the show with Kevin Winston not practicing yesterday. I said, would you rather him practice today or go up against actual competition in Tampa? And I said, I'd rather have him good to go for Tampa, and now he's not good to go for Tampa. So maybe that
just make sure he gets good to go for Saturday night. I don't know.
That's the question, right? That's the next question. If he's out Saturday night as well, does that continue to make you more concerned? Because then at that point, right? Like
with each passing day, I get more concerned.
At that point, right? What was the logic behind having him go, super hard 4 out of the 5 days in padded practice against your own guys? Versus maybe only doing 2 of those last week and then going up against the Bucks, right? Like I get the logic of wanting to ease him back in, but I think it's also very important for a guy like that who I think who's been talked about as a very integral part of what they want to do this season. He needs to start getting some of those real life reps sooner than later.
I'm not sure there was logic to how much they ran him on the weekend. I think it may have just been a hindsight thing where they got to the end of the weekend. They were like, his body responded differently than they expected. They then responded to that response and said, okay, we're going to shut down for a little bit to make sure that you get right. So it is what it is. Eric in the comments asking, do you think Winston is capable of playing a cornerback, a hybrid? No. Being a corner safety hybrid is really hard. And I like Winston a lot, but he's at his best as a safety, not a corner. He can play nickel corner. He can play big nickel. Yes. Outside corner? No. All right. I think that's our show. Unless there's anything else you'd like to say, J2. You ready to do some sports trivia?
Yeah, a couple more things just real quick. I do want to bring up that it'll be interesting to see if James Williams continues to look as good as he does. Is there some room for a guy like Cedric Gray or Otis Reese to, when these pads continue to go on and you actually go up against some other competition, are we going to see any different maybe thoughts or opinions on that battle? But certainly Cody Barton has looked really good against Cam Warden coverage. I'd be interested to see if he looks as good and still has that good type of coverage against a guy like Baker Mayfield. And certainly, like, it's going to be it's more of a test today than it has been for these interior linebackers today. When you consider Cade Otton, Emeka Egbuka, the running backs we haven't really talked about, but the Buccaneers have some really good running backs, good pass catchers in Bucky Irving and Rashad White. I think those guys are going to have an interesting day, see how they fare against the linebackers. That's another interesting position. But besides that, I mean, we talk offensive line, defensive line, Cam, wide receivers, secondary.
That's the whole football team, folks.
I feel like that's pretty much the whole football team, unless we really need to have a topic about Joey Sly.
Right. We completely neglected the Morgan Cox stadium pulse this week.
Big one.
Off the charts. It's a big week for him.
I will bring up, like, I think today also, or maybe not today, but Saturday, like, we also need to talk about another position battle that's finally going to happen. Which is the returner position. We talked about that on
that's real. That's not
the depth chart show on Tuesday. Like, they have James Prochet and Jaquan Jackson as the two.
If they roll Jaquan out there on Saturday,
they will
as the primary guy, as the only guy. No, they won't.
Well, I mean, for the
Jim's
first,
gonna
like,
do it.
the first
Jim's
one,
gonna do it.
I feel like it's going to be Jaquan for the first one.
It shouldn't be. All right. Sports trivia?
Sure.
Sports trivia. Shout out to our friends at, if it works, WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Shout out Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying experience at WilsonCountyHyundai.com or in person in Lebanon. All right, let me pull up the dozen here. JT, if you can find the version that's for us of our overlay, I will be sharing my screen in
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1. Here we go. We do have
Wow, that was almost perfect.
And we have golf on the board.
Wow.
Huge for me. MLB, huge.
Yeah, let me hold on. I'm looking at this board here, and I already see two that I just will be no help with.
Golf and cars.
Yeah, can't do cars. I have no
one
idea.
can only pray that it is Cars, the major Pixar motion picture.
Yeah,
because then I could be of help.
So here's the thing. First of all, let's see. Oh, Orlando's got our over under 3.5, which is
just because I was excited about golf, you're gonna put us at 3.5,
which is a full minute faster. But I do think he is also going off of how your computer is working so much better than Austin's yesterday. I mean, Austin's, it was like he was running trivia off AOL internet dial-up. It was bad.
He needs a new computer.
It was really bad. So, and this is another thing. Yesterday, we could have gone perfect if we just kind of took a breath and let the chat catch up to us and help us with some of the answers. It burned us yesterday on one of those. So just we're learning. So.
Okay. Well, we will try to be smooth sailing today. We'll start with NFL, go counterclockwise, end with celebrity mashup. Hopefully the celebrity mashup is not a nightmare that pauses us like last time. Here we go. Chat, lock in, and NFL. From 2010 to 2019, what NFC team totaled the most regular season rushing touchdowns?
I want to say Cowboys. Like, does that, like, the Cowboys are just a good rushing team, right?
During the 2010s, who scored a lot of touchdowns? The Seahawks, the Niners.
I feel like the
Seahawks scored a lot. Cowboys maybe. This is a hard one.
There's a good one. Cam, Jonathan Stewart, CMC.
Yeah, but they had a lot of really bad teams in there. The Rams, man, this is a tough one to start with.
Like I'm on the line with Darius. Panthers, like Cam and CMC. And then you get like Jonathan Stewart in there, D'Angelo Williams. Like that's a.
All right, we'll try it. This might be a terrible start for us. Wow, what a pull. Great stuff. The Chevrolet crossover SUV model shares the same name as an upscale brand of fitness clubs and semi-annual astronomical event. The
Eclipse.
The Eclipse. Good call.
Hold on.
The Eclipse Cross.
Cross? Is that?
Yeah, it's a crossover. That's it. No, what? How?
What? I don't know.
Semi-annual astronomical event? Chat's going to roast us in a minute. All right.
That's
Following the lives of 6 New York friends living in the Brooklyn brownstone, Queen Latifah starred in this Fox sitcom from 93 to 98. What?
I don't know.
Queen Latifah's Equinox. Son of a... Yeah, we are idiots.
Eclipse is Mitsubishi.
And Equinox, I should have known Equinox is the fitness club. That's so stupid of me.
Like I said, I don't know.
Anyways, I got hot. I got too hot. Living single? Okay, living single.
You say living single.
Sure.
This is a bad start.
No. We got it. After the Jump Street films, Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum each had supporting roles in this 2016 Coen Brothers film set in the 50s in Hollywood. That's... Wait.
Isn't Margot Robbie in that one too? Like, isn't that...
Well, are we just thinking of Once Upon a Time right now?
Yeah, but that's Tarantino.
I know that's Tarantino. I know. So that's why... what is this one? I feel like I'm going to know this the second somebody says it.
What was that movie that came? But there's like a movie that came out with like them in it, like in 2020. But like this is 2016.
Well, this is 2016.
I'm getting like stuck up on like film set in 1950s Hollywood.
It's not Once Upon a Time. That's what that's what everybody thinks immediately, but it's not. Man, I don't know. They're supporting roles, so they weren't leads in this movie. Hollywood was the 60s? Is that what it was
Once Upon a Time was Hollywood was the 60s.
Oh, I see. La Noire?
La Noire?
No.
Wasn't George Clooney in it? Yeah, should we just...
Yeah, somebody has to know this.
I have no idea.
The over-under was... I told you it was an over. It's an easy over today.
Yeah.
Dang.
We're cooked, says
thanks,
Jonathan.
I'm skipping this and we're coming back.
Yeah, what if we
Nobody
just
seems to know. Somebody has to know that one. Miley Cyrus's brother Trace was part of this pop rock band that is most known for their 2008 hit "Shake It." What?
I don't know. I've got no idea. Matt says Metro Station. What is Metro Station?
What? Who is Miley Cyrus's brother Trace? I've never heard of Trace Cyrus in my life. Not in my
Nick
life.
says I didn't know we could skip. Apparently.
No one's
You're
stopping
making
me.
up rules as we go.
Metro Station. All right, we'll go back and do Metro Station.
No. Wait, is that for?
Or is that the band Metro Station? Oh, I see. I
think they were on Metro Station as like the band.
Cool, which seems to be correct. All right. Not to be confused with Gatorade Zero. In 2007, Gatorade launched this lower calorie and less sugar variety.
G2,
which hot takes on that. I think it stinks. This English golfer, can get an American who's never won a major. He's finished top 5 in all 4 events in the past, including finishing runner-up at the 2018 U.S. Open and 2019 Open Championship.
I don't know. This is all you.
He's English.
Is
I got really
English.
The problem is I became a diehard golf fan during COVID. So these are like the two.
Joshua says Fleetwood.
Tommy, I know he's never won a major. In fact, he's never won. Fun fact: Tommy Fleetwood never won a PGA Tour event. Almost did this year and then choked it. Was he runner up though? Has Fleetwood really? I mean, I know he's been like the king of almost.
Fitzpatrick?
There is, but he's won a major.
Oh.
Rom also has won a major. Also is not English. He's Spanish. Let's try Fleetwood. Okay, cool. After a big 2009 season in Boston, Jason Bay signed a 4-year, $66 million deal with this National League team. Big Jason Bay historian, JT?
I PTSD flashbacks. You know who it is.
Do I know who it is?
Oh my God. Why?
The Mets, baby, the Mets. Sing the song. All right. Oh my goodness. The guy is that Jason Schwimmer? Is that his name? The Friends guy?
David Schwimmer?
David Schwimmer? Is that, am I wrong about this?
His hair looks, I could see the hair.
David Schwimmer, right, guys?
Sure.
That woman, I don't know. Chat?
She looks SNL-y to me. Like
SNL-y. Okay. All right. Well, that narrows it down.
I feel like the guy from Scrubs.
This could be a couple different guys. This could also be that one guy that's like in a bunch of horror movies whose name I'm forgetting. But I guess it's not him. Who is this lady?
Yes, it was the Mets, unfortunately. Enhanced.
All right.
Paul Rudd. Ooh, it could be Paul Rudd.
It could. I don't think Paul's hair is that dark or thick.
Joel Osteen is a good pull.
Joel Osteen?
Oh,
crap.
Matt Stanley says Rachel McAdams.
Actually, not a bad pull. I'll try that.
Should we do Rachel McAdams and David Schwimmer?
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, wow, nice. We're back to this stupid movie that no one knows. Did anyone get this?
No one has said. No one.
Adams, good call. The movie's
the
Hail
Farrier,
Caesar.
Hail Caesar.
Sure, it was there. What was the car? It was the Equinox.
Orlando said this is just embarrassing. This was really rough. So here's what happened.
7-12.
Even with the AOL startup internet, we were able to win we were able to finish in like 5 minutes.
We had some reels. I mean, like the NFL one was tough.
First of all, the television, no idea. Movies, no idea.
Both.
Music, no idea.
The whole bottom row was a nightmare.
Yes.
Nightmare.
I agree.
Unacceptable on their part.
We'll bounce back. We're working through things. We're just like the Titans, right? We're baby stepping into
these are practice reps. We're actually, you guys don't know this. We're playing trivia on hard mode, just like the Titans are practicing Cam Ward in hard mode. It's going to get way easier in September. Don't worry about it. All right, that's our show today. thanks everybody for being here, being a part of the show. Follow along A to Z Sports and Buck Rising on Twitter for all of your training camp or your joint practice updates. That's what we call them. That is going to be the next hour or two from Tampa. And then I believe Buck Rising will be writing about that afterwards. So take a peek at that. I have some cool exclusive interview stuff with the Titans that will, I think, come out either today or tomorrow. Will be the first one of 5 articles that I have, 5 stories that I have that are super exciting. Can't wait to share those with you guys. I believe Buck Rising will also be live on primetime tonight. So much Titans content to get you prepared for Saturday night's first preseason game, the first time we see Cam Ward in an actual Titans jersey and helmet and doing football-ish things. Until tomorrow, we don't know who will be back on the show in the morning. It'll probably be some combination. Actually, it will be some combination of me, JT, or Austin. Tune in, same time, same place to find out who it is. Have a great rest of your Thursday.